Good morning. My name is John Holmes, and I'm here today to share with you a little history about one of our rectors, Theodore DuBose Bratton, who was the ninth rector of the Church of the Advent and subsequently became the third bishop of Mississippi. Reverend Bratton was born in 1862 in Winnsboro, South Carolina, and grew up on family property in York County in a little town that's called Brattonsville. His great-grandfather was a colonel in the American Revolution, and his father, a physician, was a general in the Confederate Army. Bishop Bratton grew up really in Sewanee, Tennessee, where his uncle started the School of Theology at the University of the South. And it's from his uncle that I think that Bishop Bratton got his inspiration and his call to go into the ministry. Interestingly, Bishop Bratton went to grammar school in Sewanee. He went to St. Andrews in Sewanee. He went to the University of the South for his bachelor's degree. He got his Doctor of Divinity from the Theological School at Sewanee, and his last official duties were as Chancellor of the University of the South. In 1887, he graduated from the University of the South and was ordained a deacon and went to York counties, Lancaster counties, to serve as a missionary. He served there for a little over a year, and then at a very young age was called to be the ninth rector at the Church of the Advent. While at the Advent, he became a much beloved preacher, not only in the parish, but also in the community. Back in those days, it was not uncommon for the Methodist and the Baptist to trade off ministers on given Sundays. But he was very active in outreach in the community. For 9 years, he taught history at Converse. And at Converse, he so endeared himself, as did his wife Lucy, that we had a large contingent of Converse students that were members of the Advent. Also in the community, he was supportive of expanding schools in the mill villages, but more importantly, he embraced the colored industrial school, which began in one room in a parishioner's house. Also, in 1893, during Jim Crow, he petitioned the diocese to start a mission church for, as he said, coloreds, and this was the Epiphany Church. In 1899, he bought the property on which the Epiphany is now located, and here is a copy of the deed that's in the courthouse and is signed by Bishop Bratton. We have an ongoing relationship today with Epiphany and work closely with the senior warden, Luther Norman, especially with his efforts and outreach to the youth. We jointly work with him, with Julie Schwartz, Joy Oates, in helping to maintain and plant vegetables in the garden at Mary H. Wright. In 1899, Bishop Bratton was called to become the head of St. Mary's Junior College in Raleigh, North Carolina. He stayed there for 5 years until he was called by the Diocese of Mississippi to become their new bishop. And he stayed in that diocese until 1935. While there, he started a junior college for women called St. Andrews, which is still in operation today, but it is a boys' private school from grades 8 to 12. After his retirement from the Diocese of Mississippi, he wrote, one of his books was called Wanted Leaders, A Study of Negro Development. It's quite interesting. You can buy it on Amazon, and I would encourage you to read it. And if you'd like to borrow mine, you're welcome to call me at 864-308-6306. After he moved back to Swanee, he became the chancellor for the last 2 official years of his life. He retired and then moved back to Jackson, where he's buried in the cemetery. Here is a picture of Bishop Bratton, and this is a picture of the bishop's ring, which was given to the bishop by the Church of the Advent, and it was made by Tiffany's. The Diocese of Mississippi currently has this ring in its archives. Also, during Bishop Bratton's time at the Advent, 3 of his children died, and they are buried here in the churchyard. And you can see the grave plot out next to and adjacent across the walk from the large oak tree. It's a small monument with a small cross on top. I think the importance of Bishop Bratton is the fact that he looked outward as far as the church is concerned, and set a good example for all of us to continue the outreach efforts that we continue to this day. Thank you very much.